Hello everyone, this is Divesh Goyal, practicing company secretary. So welcome all of you on our webinar today on the topic DPT-3. Although this month we are little late for holding a webinar for a firm which is having due date in this month only. As we know, the due date for the DPT-3 is the 30th June. So I have received so many requests from the professionals and the members regarding the webinar on the DPT-3. So today we are having this webinar for the discussion on the DPT-3 in detail. So in this webinar, we will try to discuss each and everything about DPT-3, like from where a company can take a loan, how to file the DPT-3, what should be the attachment in the DPT-3, how to certify the DPT-3. Further, if you have any question during the webinar, please mention the chat box. We will try to take all the questions because DPT-3 is the form in which I have experience from my webinar, seminar. Yesterday also I am having a seminar that people are having so many queries on the DPT-3 from the loan, from shareholder loan, from director, etc., etc. So please feel free to ask your queries because on the basis of your query, the webinar will be more successful and the people get more benefited from your you can say queries. So let's start discussion on the DPT-3. DPT-3 was the form which was not there under Companies Act 2013 when the act has been launched, but it is later on introduced under the Companies Act 2013. The purpose of the filing of the DPT-3 is to get the information of the loans and advances in a separate form. Although every company filed the financial statement, every company filed the we can say balance sheet with the government, but they prepared a new form DPT-3 to provide the separate information about the deposit and loans. We know loans are the very important part of the Companies Act for the purpose of the compliance. Also, loan having a very important role. That's why they create a separate form so that ministry can get the all the information about the loan in a single place. And the best benefit about the same, now whoever was doing the non-compliances, now those people are aware about the non-compliances, aware about the loan, and they are doing it in a perfect manner without any non-compliances. Still, so many queries are there with them for the by the members. So let's start discussion one by one. So first thing, when we discuss about the DPT-3, DPT-3 is the yearly form. Every company on which is having any loan or advances required to file this form. This form practically is not required to file in case of nil. If your closing balance in all the column is nil, you don't have to file this form. This form is required to file when you're having any loan, when you're having loan, any advances, as on 31st March 2025 for this financial year. So there may be situation the company have received the loan and repaid during the year. At the end of the financial year, it is nil. And along with that, all other columns are also nil, then this form is not required to file. But out of all the column, even if a single column is having a closing amount, then you have to fill this form for all the those amounts also which are nil as on 31st March 2025. For an example, company have loan from director, company having loan from bank, and companies having advance from the customer also. But the loan from bank company has repaid during the year. Loan from director company has repaid during the year, but there are advances from the customer at the end of the financial year. So in such situation, company have to given the detail of the loan from director also, all the closing balance is nil. Company have to give the details of the loan from the companies also, all the closing balance is nil, and given the detail of the advances, which is there in the form. So you have to file the form in all such situations. Now the question arises, how to file this form, how to select the remote button while filing this form. So I have already uploaded a detailed article on the DPT-3 on my blog, which you can see on my screen. Key take note of the DPT-3. And the more articles on the DPT-3, I have published so many articles on the DPT-3. You can go on to my blog and you can search by mentioning the DPT-3. I'm doing it for you. So you can search it here. So all the articles relating to the DPT-3 you can get there. Like one article, I'm having the remote button. One of the most important point about the DPT-3 is the remote button. Because whenever you have to prepare the DPT-3, you have to choose the remote button. According to those remote button only, your form will work. That remote button will decide which column will be open and which column will be closed. So you can say you have to be very careful while deciding the remote button because one remote button is asking only in case of the deposit. Other remote button is asking when there are no deposit, but there are the loans and advances which is not part of the deposit. Some loan button, some another button is there which is saying if you are having deposit as well as the non-deposit, in both the cases you have to select this remote button. So remote button is the most important thing about the DPT-3, which first every person should learn, because on the regular basis we are seeing that companies are selecting the wrong remote button, or they are very confused about selection of the remote button. So I'm just giving a brief. In third number column of the form, there is a concept of the remote button. First remote button is return of deposit. Practically speaking, I'm just giving 2 minute brief, which is very important for everyone. Please listen carefully. This video, this webinar was a DPT-3. We will discuss maximum from the point of view of the private company. Why so? Because whenever we talk about deposits now, there is a big difference between private company and public company. Kyun? Public company can accept deposit from the public, there is no issue. Although they have to comply with the certain provisions, certain compliances of section 73 subsection 2. But private company cannot accept public deposit. This is the major thing. So as private company cannot accept deposit from the public, if they accept, they have to pay the heavy penalties because of this non-compliances. So first remote button under DPT-3 is the return of deposit. So private company cannot accept the deposit. That's why private company cannot select the return of deposit. Although there is one exception in which situation private company have to select this. I will discuss it later on. Second remote button, particular of a transaction by company not considered as deposit. The transaction which company have done during the year, but they are not considered as deposit. ऐसे कौन से transaction है? What are the transaction like these which company has done during the year, but they are not considered as deposit? So I just take you on the definition of deposit. Under the deposit rules, rule number 2, which is talking about the definition in 2C, deposit include any receipt of money by way of deposit, loan, or in any other form by a company, but does not include. I am focusing on but does not include. This means whatever things are mentioned below from 1 to 13, 1 to 14, sorry. So whatever information mentioned below between 1 to 18, these will not be considered as deposit. If you have done any transaction of the loan, if you have done any transaction of the advances, but those loans and those advances are falling between this 1 to 18 point of the definition of the deposit, then this will not consider as deposit. So these are the points where private company can accept the loan, where the private company can accept the deposit. And for this, you have to select remote button number 2 of your DPT-3. Remote button number 3 is talking about return of deposit and particular of transaction not considered as deposit. There may be situation a company is having deposits as well as non-deposit. Both the things are there. Then company have to select remote button number 3. These are the 3 options of the DPT-3. But frankly speaking, there is only one situation under private company when they can choose the return of deposit and it is not considered as a default. Accept that option if private company will choose return of deposit, means remote button number 1 or remote button number 3, that will be considered as a non-compliance, that will be considered as a default on the part of the company. So you have to make sure if you are preparing this form for the private company, maximum time you have to select remote button number 2, that is particular not considered as deposit. In any case, you are forced to select remote button number 1 and 3, then make sure this should be selected only for the purpose of loan from the shareholder. This is the only situation. Loan from the shareholder is the only situation when private company can click on the remote button number 1 or remote button number 3. Except this, private company should not select remote button number 1 or remote button number 3. If in any situation your company is about to select remote button number 1 or 3, other than loan from shareholder, then definitely there are the non-compliances and there will be definitely the heavy penalties on the company. So hope this three remote button is clear to everyone, because every time, every year I have seen people are asking question on the remote button. So that's why this webinar I started with a discussion on the remote button. So now you are clear. In private company, you have to select remote button number 2. In case you are having loan from shareholder, you can select 1 or 3 also according to your situation. Like you are having only loan from shareholder, then you will select remote button number 1. But you are having loan from shareholder and loan from the entities which is allowed under point number 1 to 14 of the deposit definition, Then you have to select remote button number 3, deposit as well as non-deposit. This is the basic structure of the DPT-3. And one more thing, the due date of the filing of DPT-3 is 30th June. If a company file DPT-3 after 30th June, they are liable for the additional fees. And many times we have seen in last 5 years, ministry and ROCs are imposing the penalties on the company for delay in filing of such form. So this is my advice to everyone: file this form till 30th June if you want to save additional fees as well as penalty. Additional fees is a very small amount, but the penalty is a big amount. So you have to be make sure you are working on this accordingly. Now I will take one question before going to move forward, because I have received this question from the many professionals in last 18 days, whether the data mentioned in the DPT-3 should be audited figures or non-audited figures. See, law is no law cannot force you to have an audited figure till 30th June. Because as per Companies Act, company have to prepare financial statement till 30th September, till AGM. So they cannot force you to have an audited figure on 30th June. But as per Rule 16 and rules per Rule 16A, in case company is filing this form, company have to make sure the figures mentioned in the form should not vary from the figure mentioned in the financial statement. So this is a responsibility on the auditors also, along with the directors, that they should make sure that whatever figures companies are mentioning under DPT-3, they are practically the final figure. They are should match with the balance sheet figure. If they are not matching with the balance sheet figure, a person should prepare themselves for the given a reply to the regulatory if they ask why it is not matching. Because now we know AOC4 is on the also V3 portal. So when it will be on the V3 portal, many things will be linked by each one form to other form. So there may be chances that our form can be linked, and they can get a pop-up if we mention the different information, DPT-3 different information, the AOC4. So data mentioned in the DPT-3 should be final data, because it is vague to say that till 30th June we are not having data of the loan, we are not having data of the advance. Practically every company is filing the GST, TDS every month, every quarter. So practically every company is preparing the tally packages and so many other things. As we know, audit trail is also there. So every company is having their proper entries in the book. If they are having proper entries in the book, they are having data with them. So there is no excuse if we are not having data till 30th June. That's why our figure is wrong. Now let's move to the one more important question about this: whether auditor need to certify this form, or whether auditor have to give a certificate to file this form DPT-3. Practically, auditor is not required to certify this form or give any certificate to file this form if your company is selecting the remote button number 2, that is particular not considered as deposit. If you are selecting the remote button particular not considered as deposit, there is no need of the auditor certificate, there is no need of the auditor DSC. But if your company is selecting remote button number 1 or remote button number 3, that is particular not consider, that is return of deposit, in that case auditor have to give a certificate for the return of deposit. And if auditor is giving the certificate, definitely that certificate includes the data of the return of deposit as well as data of the return of particular not considered as deposit. So now it's on their responsibility also, the data should match from the financial statement also. So these are the some basic thing and most important thing, because people are doing wrong and filing because of this. And I have already cleared one question which I have received every day: whether company have to file nil DPT-3. No. If all the balance of the closing balance in all the column is nil, no need to file. But balance if there is balance in any column, then you have to file the form. Now let's discuss very important point of the Companies Act of the DPT-3. From where a private company accept the loan, because this is a very important point. Everyone want to know कि अगर हमारी company loan ले सकती है तो कहाँ से ले सकती है. So see, if private company want to take the loan from a company, first source is the loan from director, because director is the first accessible person of the company. So private company can take loan from the director anytime. But there is only one condition, that such loan should be given out of the own fund of the director, not from the borrowed fund. But how, as a professional, I will check whether it is a borrowed fund or it is a own fund. So law said whenever a company take loan from a director, they have to take a declaration from the director in which director will mention this is loan from my own fund. Up to this is my responsibility. I will check. Yes, there is a declaration. Director has mentioned this is from my own fund. I can take it. But if director has taken loan from anyone else and introducing in the company as a loan, it will be considered as a deposit. And once it will be deposit, it will be non-compliance for the company. So make sure Whenever you file DPT-3, if company is giving you data, in that data, it is mentioned that company have taken loan from the director, please ask for the declarations. And there may be possibility company have taken loan from the director more than once in a financial year. So whenever company is taking loan, each and every time company have to take a declaration, because situation of a person can be vary from a month to another month. Last month I have given my for my own fund. Next month I am not having the fund, so I'm taking borrowing it and giving to the company. So never take a blanket declaration starting of the year or ending of the year, because if you are taking a declaration at the end of the year of a total amount, then it will consider non-compliance, because you must have a declaration at the time of acceptance of loan. And if you take a uh, declaration at the starting, then make sure you will take declaration for each and every transaction differently, not for because every transaction is having its own reliability. So open-ended declaration should not be there. Loan from director. Second source of loan for a private company, which is easiest for a private company, is loan from relative of the director. If a private company accept loan from relative of the director, they can accept, but the same situation is there, that loan from their own fund, not from the borrowed fund. And why I'm saying these are allowed, as I said point number 1 to 18 is allowed. It is mentioned at point number 8. Any amount received from a person at the time of receipt of amount was a director of the company or a relative of the director of the private company. Provided that director of the company and relative of director of the private company with whom money is received furnish the company at the time of giving money a declaration in writing to the effect the amount is not given out of the fund acquired by borrowing or accepting loan from deposit from. So make sure whenever you are taking loan from the director, you have to take a declaration. Open-ended declaration will not work. Single declaration in a year will not work. Declaration should be transaction to transaction from the director as well as the relative. Hope we are clear on this. One more thing, anyone have any query, please mention in the chat box. We will take all the queries, because this is a very important point. A single mistake in the DPT-3 can impact lakhs of rupees penalty on a company. So as a professional, this is our duty to save our client. It is our duty to serve the corporate perfectly. So make sure that each and our doubt is clear. Single mistakes is lakhs of penalty, not in thousands itself, right? So next question, loan from company or loan from director is okay, loan from relative is okay. Sometimes we have received this question from the professionals, whether loan from HUF is allowed. I will say no. HUF is not a relative of the director. That's why HUF cannot give loan to the company. But HUF, the member of the HUF, they are relative of the director, so they can give loan to the company. But HUF directly cannot give loan to the company. A third and the most important situation everyone should understand carefully, whether a private company can take loan from the shareholder of the company. अब शेयर होल्डर से लोन ले सकते हैं कि नहीं ले सकते हैं प्राइवेट कंपनी में, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. सी जब भी हम बात करते हैं, whenever we talk about the loan from the shareholder, we have to first check the Companies Act. As per Companies Act 2013, private companies was not allowed to take loan from the director when this act launched. But later on, Ministry of Corporate Affairs came with a certain exemptions to the private companies, which you can read it in my in this blog. MCA issued an exemption notification on 5th June 2015. In this notification, they said a private company can receive loan from the shareholder without compliance of the section 73 subsection 2A to E. Money not exceeding 100% of the aggregate of the paid up share capital and free reserve. So, law said on 1st October, 1st April 2024, 2014, when this act came, private companies was not allowed to take loan from the shareholder. But on the 5th June 2015, when Companies Act this exemption notification launched, Ministry came with one solution. Okay, as a private company, you can take loan from the shareholder, but up to a limit. That limit is up to 100% of paid up share capital and free reserve. So above that, you cannot take. But private companies, the purpose of the relaxation not resolved by this relaxation, because this is a very minimum relaxation. Then Ministry came with one more exemption on 13 June 2017. They said you can take any amount of a loan from a shareholder if you fulfill three conditions. They said Section 73, subsection 2 A to E shall not apply to a private company which fulfill the following conditions. Condition number one, the company which is accepting loan is not an associate and subsidiary of any other company. Condition number two, the borrowing of company from the banks, financial institution, or any body corporate is less than the twice of paid up share capital or 50 crore, whichever is lower. Means if your company has already taken loan from the banks, financial institution, body corporate, and that loan is more than twice of your share, your paid up capital, then you are not eligible to take loan from shareholder above than this amount. But you have taken loan from the banks, financial institution, and body corporate, but that loan is less than your twice of paid up capital, then condition is fulfilled. Third, the company has no default in repayment of borrowing. Please focus on these some points. In my current seminars also, I have seen people are not much aware about this notification, about these exemptions, but these are the very important exemptions because as I said, private company cannot click on the remote button number 1 or 3, that is return of deposit, but only in one situation, when private company is taking loan from the shareholder, then you have to click on the remote button number 1 or remote button number 3. But in which situation private company can take loan from shareholders? These are the two situations. If you are taking up to 100% of paid up share capital free reserve, there is no condition, you can take it. But if you want to take loan from the shareholder more than 100% of paid up share capital free reserve, then you have to fulfill these three conditions. If you fulfill these three conditions, there is no issue. Private company can take n number of loan from their shareholders. So I am clear with the loan from shareholder because this is very important. Now, many times we have received the question from the professionals and the corporate. If a private company is taking loan from the shareholder, is there any difference of compliances between the loan from the director and the loan from the shareholder? Then I will say yes. There is a difference in the compliances at the time of acceptance of loan if a company is accepting the loan from the shareholder. Because if you are as a company secretary, if you are guiding, giving consultancy to your company, if your company is taking loan from the director or relative, you have to do minimum compliance. Number one, under section 179, subsection 3, you have to pass a board resolution for borrowing of money. Even you can pass a blanket approval at the starting of the year or blanket approval in any time for acceptance of borrowings. But this resolution is mandatory. If a company has not passed any resolution for borrowing under section 179(3) any time, they cannot accept loan. Second, you have to take a declaration of own fund from the director and relative. That's it. That's the only compliance. But if you want to take the loan from the shareholder, then you have to definitely pass the board resolution under section 179 subsection 3. But along with that, you have to follow this provision of the section 73 because exemption is from A to E. But this we have to follow. Under this, it is mentioned that whenever a company accepts a deposit, that is loan from shareholder for a private company, they have to pass a ordinary resolution in the general meeting of the company. So if your company have passed a resolution in the general meeting of the company, then only you are allowed to take loan from shareholder. Without resolution in the general meeting, your company cannot accept loan from the shareholder. In our recent due diligence and the sectoral audits, we have seen that people have forgot or people have not aware that if they are taking loan from the shareholder, they require the ordinary resolution in general meeting. They are just taking it like they are taking from the director. No, it is totally different. Please make sure whenever you are taking loan from the shareholder, you are following the provision of the section 73 subsection 2 that is talking about the passing of a ordinary resolution in the meeting of general meeting. Although there is no need to file any form because we are passing an ordinary resolution. We know we have to file MDT 14 for each and every special resolution, but this is the ordinary resolution, so we don't have to file any form. Now, one question. Many times we have received this question even in my recent seminar we have taken in the CA Institute just 5 days back. There was a question, if a person is a director as well as shareholder, is working in the dual capacity in the company, which is possible and which is happening in maximum private companies. There are the two persons, they are the director and they are the shareholder. In that case, if our company take loan from such person, whether such loan shall be considered as a loan from director or loan from shareholder. Number one, law is silent about it. Law is very much silent what you should treat this loan. So once law is silent, then the requirement of a professional came. That's why we are here to discuss. Then, if law is silent, then we have to see that what process suits us, whether as a loan from director or loan from shareholder. Like, if a person is director as well as shareholder and we are taking loan from that person, first we will ask whether you are giving this loan from your own fund. If he say yes, this is my own fund, I will follow the process of the loan from director, like passing of resolution under section 179 subsection 3, and along with that, a declaration of the own fund. I will do this compliance. I will consider it as a loan from director. Everywhere I will mention loan from director. But if that person is saying no, I am giving loan from my borrowed fund, not from the own fund. So if he's giving from the borrowed fund, I cannot consider it as a loan from director. So I will move toward the loan from shareholder. I will pass resolution in the board meeting under 179 subsection 3. I will pass a ordinary resolution under section 73 subsection 2, and I will consider it as a loan from shareholder everywhere in my financial statement, everywhere in my books of accounts. Even in filing of the DPT-3, I will click on the return of deposit button and I will show it from a as a relative loan from the shareholder. So this is a very important point. I received this question maximum time when a person is working in a dual capacity. Now one more question. Just 10 minutes back, I asked whether a private company can accept loan from HUF. I said no, because HUF is not a director of the company. HUF cannot be the relative of the director of the company. So I said ki no, company cannot take loan from the HUF. But HUF can be shareholder of the company. If an HUF is a shareholder of your company, then definitely you can accept loan from your HUF. But as you are taking loan from the shareholder, so all the things which is applicable on the loan from the shareholder, you have to follow all those such things. Next category, first we have discussed director, second relative of director, third we have discussed shareholder. Left, fourth and most important, loan from body corporate. Now this question always I whether a private company can accept loan from any body corporate. My answer is no. As per rule of the deposit, which I discussed 1 to 18 point, a private company can accept loan from other company, but private company cannot accept loan from body corporate. Like LLP is a body corporate, but LLP is not a company. So if I have a company receive loan from other company, that is allowed under Companies Act. But if a company is accepting loan from LLP, that is not allowed. It will be considered as deposit. But there is a one situation. There is a one situation when private company can accept loan from the LLP when the LLP is the director of your company. If LLP is the director of your company, then definitely you can. Sorry, when LLP is a shareholder of your company, not director, because the LLP is not an individual person, cannot be a director. But LLP is a shareholder of your company, then you can take loan from the LLP because, but follow the condition of 100% or the exemption, whatever is there. Next, these are the basic things about the DPT-3, like loan from director, loan from relative, loan from shareholder. There are the certain entities on which loan from shareholder is, which does not have to file DPT-3. As I said, every company have to file DPT-3. No, but there are the certain exemption like banking company is not required to file DPT-3. Non-banking company registered with RBI is not required to file DPT-3. Housing finance company is not required to file DPT-3. Government companies also not required to file DPT-3. So I have prepared certain check to file DPT-3 whether company is having loan in the books of account and as on 31st March. This loan can be even a single rupees. If a company having 1 rupees loan as on 31st March 2025, company have to file this form. Whether company having advance from the customer, yes. Let me cover this. I have covered director, relative of director, shareholder, and other company. Now advance. If a company is receiving advance from their customer against any goods or services, then it is allowed. But you have to mention the amount of the advance opening during the year, after that, and closing in the form. But there is the most important thing. If that advance is in the books for more than 365 days as on 31st March, then it will not consider, then it will consider as a deposit. ये इस सिचुएशन में डिपॉजिट बन जाएगा. So we have to make sure कि if there is the advance, if there is the advance from the customers in the company, then in such situation you have to check whether that advance within 365 days or that advance after 365 days. If that advance is within 365 days, click on the particular of not consider as deposit and do it. But if that advance is in the books more than 365 days, then it will be considered as a deposit. And as I said, if in private company, if there is any deposit, it is a non-compliance for the company. So make sure there's no advance standing in the books more than 365 days as on 31st March in the companies. So advance is also very important because many times we have seen people are much focused on the we can say much focus on the things like loan, but not a focus on the advance. So we have to be focused on the advance also. Make sure the advances we are taking the perfectly. Next point about the DPT-3. Next point, let's discuss. I have already discussed with the person is director as well as the shareholder. Now, one question I have received about the loan. You know, we can take many type of loans from bank. If I will talk about many type means you can take a normal loan, a car loan, a home loan, many type of other home business loan, working capital loan. But there are the two loans generally which we consider call as loan as a CC limit, as a OD limit. These are allowed under Companies Act also. Company can take the CC limit, company can take the OD limit. But now the question is arise if company has taken the CC limit or OD limit, whatever, whether it is a CC limit or whether it is a OD limit, whether that will be considered at the time of the preparing the data for this form, then my answer will be yes. How we will consider that? See, Companies Act 2013 is saying whatever loan you are having on the 31st March, you have to file the DPT-3 for such loan. Now, if there is a OD balance, if there is a positive OD balance, positive CC balance in my books of account as on 31st March, then I have to mention those also in my form. Like, you know, na general, what is the structure of the form? What are the information we have to mention in the form? I think everyone will be aware which type of information we generally mention under the DPT-3 form. Like, I'm just discussing the option. You can see the checklist of we have prepared this. You have to mention the opening balance in the DPT-3, addition of during the year, repaid during the year, any other adjustment, and closing balance. First, I will discuss this. For example, my opening OD balance is 0. Addition, I have limit of OD is 1 crore. Opening balance is 0. Addition during the year is 5 crore. Because many times I have taken, many times I have repaid. Repaid during the year is 4.5 CR. Adjustment is 0. Then my balance is 0.50 CR. This will be like this only. Although I have taken OD only for the 1 crore. But my form is showing the amount of the 5 crore as well as the 4.5 crore. The only thing, if my OD limit is 1 crore, opening cannot be more than 1 crore and closing cannot be more than 1 crore. Both will be between that. But during the year, many times the amount came, many times the amount goes. So we have to mention everything about the OD and CC limit. Same example for advance from customer. My opening balance for advance from customer was 10 lakh. During the year, I have received advance from customer 2 CR. And I have repaid, I will not say, but I have provided the services of that to the customer of 1.5 CR during the year. Then my closing balance will be 0.06 CR. So like this, you have to mention the advance from customer details also. And at last, for whatever purpose you are filling these amounts, you have to mention the agings also. Whether your loan or outstanding, whatever is there, is between 1 year to 3 year, or more than 3 year. This is a very important thing which you have to mention. I have prepared this checklist for my clients in which we are sharing this checklist with them so that they can fill the amount and they can share with us with the filled amount like you can see here. And on the basis of that, we file the DPT-3. So these are the some basic things, more basic things about the DPT-3, ki how to treat loan from customer, how to advance from customer, and how to portray that in the form. So, to understand the provision is not only enough, how to mention that in the form is also very important. So these are the some basic things about the DPT-3 which I would like to share with all of you. Hope so many doubt of you guys has been resolved. One more query I have received from the professional yesterday only. As you can watch my recent video, I have uploaded 1 hour back on this channel about the additional relaxation of the additional fees. I just want to clear there is no relaxation of the additional fees of the DPT-3. Due date is 30th June. After due date 30th June, there will be additional fees. But you want to learn about the additional fees, separate videos there. So these are the some basic point and the things from my side. Now I will take the one by one the question which shared by you on the Excel in the Google form and the question shared by you here in this form. So let's discuss one by one. First, the question we have received here. Then we will move to the question we have received in the Google form. Question number one. What must be the approach to ask all these forms client? Ask all this from client. What must be the approach? See, as I said, we have prepared this checklist, which I have shown you the Excel checklist. We have prepared this checklist so that there should not be any mistake. We just share this checklist with our clients and they fill it by sitting with their financial team, and you can say they get it checked from the auditor also, then they share with us for the preparation of the form and filing of the form. Next question, please confirm that whether the director should continue to act as a director till tenure of the loan. It's just that at the time of taking loan he should be director. Very nice question. See, as per Companies Act, we have to check at the time of acceptance of loan whether such person is director or not. There may be possibility at the time of acceptance of loan Mr. A is director, but next day he resign. He can resign. This loan still considered as a allowed loan until unless there is any terms of the repayment is achieved. Can private limited company take loan from the shareholder? I think I have already discussed this is in detail. And my article, my complete detailed article on this also published on my blog. So you can read it in detail itself. And this video also I will publish on this YouTube channel. You can later on also check that. Should interest paid for director for the loans be included in the other adjustment? Yes, I will suggest interest should also cover under the adjustment. Next, whether loan from director of the public company is exempt. See, loan from director of a public company is also exempt as per point number 1 to 18. But loan from relative of director of the public company is not exempt. Next, whether advance from customer exceeds, sorry, I just scrolled more. Whether advance from customer exceed 1 year is not exempt. If yes, whether they are liquid asset at the 20% also mandatory. See, the advance from customer exceed 1 year. If advance from customer exceed 1 year, it will be considered as a deposit. Once it is considered as deposit, you are defaulter under Companies Act, you are liable to pay for the penalties. Next question, whether loan from shareholder can be taken by a listed company? If yes, what are the section to be? See, yes, a listed company can also take loan from shareholder. They have, for the Companies Act, they have to follow section 73 subsection 2. For the LODR, there will be separate guidelines also. Whether security deposit from other group companies is discussed in DPT-3. Security deposit is exempted deposit. You have to mention in DPT-3, but this is not a deposit. It will be covered under the particular note considered as deposit. Next question, what if the shareholder is also relative of the director? Can we take his loan from relative or director? Yes, I said this. I have already discussed this in detail. Next question, what is the difference in point number 3, sub point 2 and point number 3 in the DPT-3 form? Let me just open the DPT-3. Just give me a second. You said point number 3. Point number 3 is the purpose of the form. Sub point 2. Point 3, sub point 2. Point 3, sub point 2 is the purpose of the form, that is particular note considered as deposit. And point 3 is deposit as well, particular note considered deposit. See, point number 1 is deposit, in which we mentioned like loan from shareholder. Point number 2 is particular note considered as deposit, in which we mention like loan from director, relative of the director, banks, financial institution, other company. Point number 3 is When we are having the loan from shareholder as well as loan from directors, both include there. The deposit as well as no deposit. If shareholder is the NBFC, can loan be availed by the company? See, if and whether NBFC is the shareholder or not does not matter. NBFC is the company; they can directly give loan to the company. Optional convertible debenture will be showing this point. See, optional convertible debenture directly will not consider as a deposit. You have to check whether you have complied the condition or not. If you have not complied the condition, all condition relating to the optional debenture, then it will be showing the form as a deposit. Someone said also put the light on the CC limit, advances and debenture. I have already covered the CC limit and advances. For the debenture, I will say debenture is the non-deposit, which is considered as a loan. But if debentures is issued in non-compliance of that, then it will be considered as a deposit. A private company which is startup can take loan from shareholder without any limit, correct? Yes. This is the one exemption. If a private company registered as a startup, they can take loan from the shareholder without any limit, maximum 3 years only. After 3 years, if they want to renew, they have to follow that three condition. Next question. Sorry, I again scrolled out. Where to show loan from banks? There is a very specific column under the form. Loan from bank. When you say there are the different options like loan facility from any banking company, from the State Bank of India, any other subsidiary bank, from the banking institution. There is a specific column under the form, sir. You have to just go and check from which bank you have to take on the loan, and accordingly you have to fill. Any amount received from loan and financial assistance or loan financially for banking company, I already taken. What is the difference in point number? This is already taken. What is the difference? What is the difference? I think 7 times I received. OD effect belongs, sir. OD effect I have already discussed. Then where to show loan from bank, I have already taken. Can company take loan from HUF? Yes, as I said, company can take loan from the HUF, but only when the HUF is a shareholder. So next question, if the loan is from the director as well as shareholder, if person is a dual capacity, I have already discussed this question. Apart from borrowing short-term loan term, which are the items in the balance sheet need to be checked and enter into DPT-3? See, DPT-3 is covering only three things. Practically do loans and advance. So in your balance sheet, you have to check all the loans and all the advances. You have to check if there are the loan, whether are the charges credited or not. That also you have to check. Whether audited figure or unaudited figure required to be mentioned, I have already discussed in detail at the starting of the webinar. Law is not asking for the audited figure, but as per law, as per the literal interpretation of the law, whatever figure you have mentioned, the DPT-3, that should match with your AOC4 also. Then next question, if there is an outstanding loan at the beginning of the year and paid during the year, there is no amount outstanding, need to file form. See, if you are having only this one transaction only, that is loan. Loan opening, yes. Repaid, closing, zero. Except that you don't have any other transaction which is required to mention under this form, then the answer is no, you not have to file because this is a nil. But along with the loan, you are having advances also. So in that situation, you have to file this form with all the information. Do we have to include interest paid to director? Yes, I said please include it in the other adjustment. Is DPT-3 required to be filed even if the company has no outstanding loan? No, nil के केस में DPT-3 फाइल नहीं होगा. If loan taken in the form of ECB from the foreign holding company through HSBC bank, where to show loan from foreign bank or loan from shareholder? See, when you go on the DPT-3, DPT-3 is having so many options of the foreign, like foreign government, foreign international bank. So if you are taking loan from a foreign international bank, mention the same column. So these are the some questions which I have received from my Google form also. Any other question, anyone, then I can take. But as we have already discussed, taken 45 minutes and discussed more than 50 questions along with my points. So hope every doubt of you guys has been cleared by this webinar. Still you have any questions, still you have any doubt, you can WhatsApp me, you can mention in the comment box. I will try my best to reply that. Now just a request, please like and subscribe the channel so that whenever there will be new video upload, you will get the link of the same. And please share with everyone in your circle so that everyone can take the benefit from this video. Thank you so much.